Hey, everybody. We were going to talk a little bit about the SpaceX CRS-6 launch, but they scrubbed it like right before we started. It was going to be this cool thing where I was going to try to time it. No launch today due to instantaneous launch window. Okay, next attempt tomorrow. Thank you, Lazy Dog. Also, it was supposed to be Anthony Carboni, but he was scrubbed for weather complications as well. So we had to bring in Roger Chang. Thank you, Roger.
Sure. I'm always glad to help.
Most glad. You are most glad.
Most glad.
All right, here we go.
And in through the nose, and out through the mouth. And remember, to find your inner peace, go to dailytechnewsshow.com/support. And now, your moment of Zen.
This is the Daily Tech News for Monday, April 13th. Monday the 13th, 2015. I'm Tom Merritt. Joining me today, Mr. Roger Chang, who regularly helps out producing the show, along with my producer, Jenny Josephson, but today is the guest. Had a last-minute cancellation, a little confusion in the scheduling, but we're going to get Anthony Carboni back on the show. Meanwhile, technology producer and my co-host on East Meets West, Roger Chang. How are you?
I am good. Hello, all. I'm glad I could help.
I'm glad you could, too. I'm just so sorry you couldn't fill in for the SpaceX CRS-6, which should be launching right now. We were going to talk about it right at the top of the show, and then they scrubbed that for weather, too.
I have a rubber band, and I could maybe take a pen cap and shoot it up into the ceiling.
I appreciate your ability to try to problem solve. I'm not sure that would really help. I don't know. We are going to talk about the mystical Reddit button today, as well as all of the tech news. Let's start with the headlines. U.S. FCC's open internet order was published in the Federal Register today, and as expected, a trade group representing ISPs called U.S. Telecom filed suit in the U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit. So that is as expected.
So not surprising.
Sharp announced a 5.5-inch 4K IGZO display with an 806 pixels per inch density, according to PhoneArena.com. The Ultra HD display will sport a resolution of 2160 by 3840. IGZO, which stands for indium gallium zinc oxide, is a semiconducting material used in the TFT backplane of flat panel displays. Rival smartphone maker Samsung. We'll see if they're Samsung. Samsung has hinted at a 4K display that would be in their upcoming Galaxy Note 5. So that's going to be the trend from now to the end of the year. 4K displays, right?
4K across the board. I think the market, as it is for a lot of those consumer electronics companies, has saturated the pipeline for 1080p displays, and they need something for people to upgrade to, and 4K is it. And you know what? A 4K display on a smartphone is actually not that crazy. It gives you just like the Retina display on an Apple MacBook allows you to get finer detail. It allows you the same thing on a phone, and for people who are nearsighted like me, I can put the phone straight up to my face and still read it without my glasses.
Big Gadget reports that Asus is getting ready to launch the Vivo Watch, a fitness-centric wearable with a claimed 10-day battery life. The watch will have a tough stainless steel body, standard IP67 rating against dust and water, heart rate monitoring, and sleep tracking. No price has been revealed yet, but expect that info to emerge during Milan Design Week, which begins tomorrow. I guess that's the trend in wearables now, is to partner up with fashion.
And make a watch. I want bangles. Not just a watch, bangles, smart bangles.
The bangles or just bangles? You want smart bangles?
Smart jewelry, right?
Uh-huh.
I mean, really, if you think about it, the watch is one of the few accessories that men wear on a regular basis that could be defined as jewelry. I'm expecting things like pendants, earrings, or things like that where you're constantly wearing it, and at the same time it provides some sort of additional functionality outside of just looking nice.
I think there might be more to that because they wouldn't be expected to do as many things and therefore might be more successful. I feel like the watches are still kind of casting about for what they're best at. So
I think of Star Trek and the old earpiece, the Bluetooth earpiece thing. But if you could do something like that, but it's an earring, and it's not sticking out of your ear in that way, it'd be great.
Yeah. Ars Technica reports on a shocking case of potential cause and effect in the free market. Apparently, more competition leads to better service. After Google Fiber announced its expansion into Charlotte, North Carolina, Time Warner Cable announced that their residential internet customers will experience internet speed up to 6 times faster than their current speed at no extra charge. Customers who get up to 15 megabits per second will now receive 50 megabits per second. Those who get up to 30 megabits per second will now receive 200 megabits per second, and customers who get up to 50 megabits per second will receive up to 300 megabits per second, all at no extra cost.
All right, Google's located in the Bay Area, in California. Why is this not here?
Well, partly because Google won't roll out fiber in San Francisco because of the difficulties dealing with the city, so they have implied. But San Jose is on their list. My guess is they're trying to negotiate with the city of San Jose and other cities around there for all kinds of things, and so that's part of that negotiation. Those are just my guesses on the San Jose side.
300 megabits. Well, I'm puttering around with 60.
I guess that, the other question that I have about this is very interesting to see a company like Google go and do this, disrupt the market and provide competition. I wonder if anyone else can really do this. And we've seen some regional ISPs do this, especially in Austin. But I wonder if someone else can do what Google's doing without having the huge cash reserves that Google has.
It can, in many ways, it's kind of a parallel between like J.P. Morgan and the big industrialists of the turn of the century in the U.S., where they had the money to put, we'll do the railroads, we'll do this, we'll do that. You need deep pockets to do a lot of this stuff, and you can do it piecemeal, but the result probably won't be as seamless or as clean for the end user.
Yeah. TechCrunch reports Apple updated Final Cut Pro 10 motion and compressor with support for new camera hardware and new 3D animation resources and some effects features. Final Cut Pro 10.2 supports 4 video scope views at once now and support for additional video formats. Motion 5.2 added improvements to 3D title building and 12 new generator effects. And Compressor 4.2 makes it easier to get a movie up for sale on iTunes. CNET reports Apple also sold about 1 million Apple Watches this weekend, according to analyst estimates.
I'm trying to find the number of people who are still using Final Cut. After when they made the shift to Final Cut Pro X, a lot of people just said, well, I'm already using Adobe After Effects, I'm already using Photoshop, might as well use Premiere Pro. And it's like $50 a month with the subscription, and you get the entire suite.
Yeah, I know anecdotally a lot of people dropped Final Cut for Premiere, but it seems like there was an initial dump and that a lot of people kept it and have continued to keep it. I didn't keep hearing about more people who like, well, I've finally given up. So I think Apple did some things with Final Cut to keep the folks who hadn't given it up yet, but I don't know that it has caused anybody to switch back. And these are all anecdotally, but I haven't heard of anybody doing it.
I will say, I don't want to take too much time on this, is that for a lot of people, being able to build a custom-built PC that is as powerful as your standard Mac Pro, for at least 40 to 50% of the price is a huge motivator. I mean, there's entire Reddit threads on the best components to put together to make what they consider the ultimate video editing machine. And it's still, it's powerful, it's inexpensive, and for most people and most setups, it's quite usable.
TechCrunch reports 3D Robotics launched a new quadcopter called the Solo, meant to be easy to fly for beginners with a focus on aerial photography. Pilots can use a GoPro to stream video to a phone if they add the 3-axis Solo gimbal. The Solo can update firmware over Wi-Fi and has an accessory bay for future hardware expansion, like the planned LiDAR camera that's forthcoming. The motor pods are also swappable for easy replacement. If you want one, it's going to cost you $999 for the Solo and an extra $399 if you want the gimbal, coming to the U.S. in May and globally in June and July.
It's like the Piper Cub of drones, camera drones.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting that they're really pushing the video because, pretty obviously a lot of people want to do that. And the other thing about this with the 3D Robotics Solo is being able to monitor it, being able to output it over HDMI. There's some really cool stuff that they're doing with this.
I can honestly see that reviving the whole laser point thing at the sky, where people's like, oh, there's a drone, I'm going to point my green laser pin at it. How dare you take it?
I hope you're wrong about that. Come on, people, stop pointing lasers at things. The Financial Express reports Singapore-based FireEye released a report about online espionage operations targeting government and commercial organizations going back to 2005. FireEye believes the group responsible, it must be state-sponsored because of the sophistication and the stability of the group. They think it's likely the Chinese government is sponsoring them. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman Hong Lei said, "I want to stress that the Chinese government firmly bans and cracks down on all forms of hacker attacks," and the spokesman called for international cooperation against such attacks.
A very diplomatic statement from a government official.
Yes, it was. And it's time now for some news from you. Many of these were from you, and here's a couple in particular from you if you're Alan AV. If you want to be like Alan AV, go to dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com and at the very least do some voting. Just vote up, vote down on the stories you'd like to hear us talk about. This one got a lot of votes for our subreddit anyway over the weekend. Alan AV sent us the story from Slate about 14-year-old 8th grader Dominic Green of Paul R. Smith Middle School in Holiday, Florida, being arrested and charged with a felony offense against a computer system and unauthorized access. He was released from Land O'Lakes Detention Center on Wednesday. What did he do? The Tampa Bay Times reports that the Pasco County Sheriff's Department took action after Green used a teacher's administrative password, which, by the way, was a person's last name that he saw the teacher type in, and that's how he got it. Apparently, a lot of students had that password. He used that to log onto a school computer and change the background image. He told the Times, "I logged into a teacher's computer who I didn't like and tried putting inappropriate pictures onto his computer to annoy him." Felony.
I wonder about these situations because if it were, I mean, we think it's innocuous and it's like, oh, you have poor security.
He and several others who were caught using these passwords were suspended for 3 days from school, right? And so I think that is an important detail to know, that the school initially took that approach. Then they changed their mind and said, we need to show how serious this is, and they charged him with a felony. So this is where I think where you're going, Roger, is what else don't we know in there, right?
Yeah, I mean, in some cases it can be considered like a B&E, breaking and entering into a school, because you want to, I mean, this was a big issue back in my junior college where people were breaking into the computer lab at the time when RAM was super expensive, and they were popping open the PC cases and stealing the RAM out of it. So, I mean, even if they didn't have the intent of stealing it, you are trespassing where you're not supposed to.
On the same token, I'm totally on board with that. Maybe this kid is a repeat offender. Maybe he is constantly, disrespecting authority or whatever, and they want to make an example out of him. Whatever. I think it is way out of proportion for this kind of computer access to be a felony in the first place. And I think that's my biggest problem with this is, we don't have, under the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act, a fair way of assessing and punishing this kind of behavior.
It's true, but, it's like when you open someone, breaks into a room that has, like, the school's money in it or something in a lockbox in the room. I mean, although the motive and the intent maybe weren't there, it's still a serious situation.
Right, and they point out with the admin password, he could have accessed the grading system, even though it's encrypted. Yeah. He didn't do anything like that, but I get what you're saying.
Also, I wonder if they make everyone who goes to the Land O'Lakes Detention Center make butter.
No, I knew you were going to make a butter punch. I heard you laugh.
You have to, Land O'Lakes.
Is it butter or margarine?
I think it's butter.
All right, I don't know.
I'm
not as familiar. Star Fury Zeta alerted us to a Gizmodo post about mysterious radio signals being received by astronomers at the Parkes Observatory in Australia. Now, this has been going on for years. Astronomers have been puzzled over the sources of these brief but intense bursts. They were pretty sure they were local. Finally, astronomer Emily Petrel installed a real-time radio interface monitor, and it turns out the bursts were coming from the microwave in the lunchroom. Anytime someone opened the door before the timer was done, it would just release just a small burst of radio waves before the magnetometer turned off.
It's funny. It's funny, but it's also just showing how even the simplest things, especially when you're dealing with something as complicated as trying to receive cosmic radio waves can kind of get put out. What's interesting is Parkes has a very unique history. It was the observatory, radio observatory, that was used during the Apollo moon landing, when of course the Earth rotates, as a way for NASA to connect to the astronauts during that period. There's a great movie if you want to watch it. Stars Neil, who's the guy from Jurassic Park, Sam Neill, called The Dish. And if you get a chance, check it out.
Paul Gannon 01 sent us the next web report that in the UK, new regulations are in effect providing legal resources to people subjected to revenge porn. The new offense criminalizes the disclosure of photographs or films which show people engaged in sexual activity or depicted in a sexual way where what is shown would not usually be seen in public. And, in addition, that sharing must be done deliberately with the intention of causing the person in question distress.
Listen, if you're in a relationship and you're getting intimate, just kick out the electronics. It's really just that simple.
Well, I mean, different approaches for different people. I get that, but I do think you should be very careful with whom you allow to photograph you when, and what is done with those pictures later. And at the same time, I don't in any way disagree with this kind of law being put in place. You shouldn't be able to there's a certain amount of trust involved in that sort of thing, and that trust should not be breached in this way.
Why do you have video cameras in here? Oh, they're my security cameras. Okay.
Right? Actually, I mean, you joke, but that could be a legitimate way where something like this could happen, where one person didn't realize, maybe both persons didn't even realize that or think that things were being recorded, and later they find out they were.
Why is there a red light emanating from the teddy bear's eye?
All right. Let's look at the headlines. Folks, I think we mentioned it briefly on the show back on April 1st about Reddit's button. The button was put up on April 1st, but it's more of a psychological experiment than an April Fool's joke. I even thought so on April 1st. I'm like, this is really interesting. So it counts down from 60 seconds. If you haven't seen it, it's at reddit.com/r/thebutton. And if someone clicks it, it resets to 60 seconds. Now, nobody really knows. There's lots of theories, some more credible than others, of what happens when it finally counts down. But the one thing it does is it awards you a little badge. It's called Flare on Reddit. That is a color based on how far down the timer goes. So if you, like me, had a Reddit account on April 1st or before April 1st and have never clicked the button, you're gray. If you click the button within the first 10 seconds, between 60 and 59, or 60 and 50, you get purple. Next 10 seconds is blue. Next 10 seconds is green. Next 10 seconds is yellow, then orange, then red. As far as we know, there may be an orange out there. There are no reds that anybody knows, and there are very few yellows. Because usually what happens, I'm watching it right now, it doesn't even get past 50 before someone clicks. The lowest I've seen it go today is 41, and the lowest it's ever been reported to go is 27. Now, Roger, you don't have a flare color at all because you didn't have a personal Reddit account before April 1st. So now you're considered white. You have no flare at all.
I have no flare. I am an outcast, apparently.
No, you're not an outcast. There's a whole subculture, more than one subculture, arising around this. There are patriots who fight for never tapping it. There are people there's a whole subreddit about regrets for people who have clicked it and now they can never click it again because you can only click it once per account. There are all kinds of people creating pseudo-religions, the Knights of the Gray, or the Followers of the Shade, the Gray Hopeful. The Knights of the Button. I mixed up two of them. The Knights of the Button want to ensure the button is clicked as long as possible. The Gray Hopeful and the Followers of the Shade advocate not pressing in different ways. There's whole wikis created if you want to dig in and follow all of these. It's a really interesting thing that you could do this on the internet, and of course you do it in a place like Reddit where people notice it. And even now, 13 days later, this thing continues to get pressed. It's
a very extraordinary examination of a microcosm of humanity. If you let this run long enough, say you let it run for a decade or so and it's never run down, Now you'll have superstitions or urban legends, like you can never let it run down to zero because something catastrophic will happen. And I think in many ways this is how various religions and various superstitions in human history have probably gotten a similar start somehow, somewhere. Whether it was like, okay, you should never walk. You should never have a black, or it's bad luck for a black cat to cross your path, because one individual had that happen to them, and bad luck befell them. And it'll be interesting. I think what's so fascinating is how quickly all of it kind of spun. Typically, you would imagine these things would maybe take a little bit longer, but it's under 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Yeah, just less than 2 weeks, right?
And it's really fascinating. I think there is a sort of social need to make sure that you're part of something. It feels like you're part of something, and then once you're part of it, you can kind of then again segment or pull yourself away from the main group, because you want to be part of it, but you want to be part of the herd, so to speak. You want to be on the periphery.
And that's what's so interesting is the scaffolding they set this up. Somebody thought this through pretty well. Whoever the admin that set it up, who I believe is who. Let me find it. It's Power Language. It seems to be the admin of it. This was posted on the official Reddit blog, so it's somebody within Reddit as well. They thought it through because you didn't want people to just start creating fake accounts to increase the pool, so you limit it to accounts that were already in existence. You can't create a new account and click it. You create this stratification that rewards patience, but at the same time, because of the crowd, you're always going to have somebody who just wants to click it because, and so that patience is not rewarded. And yet there are badges associated with it. So you've created tribes essentially around it. I hope somebody's doing a study of the interactions here, and the memes are fun, honestly. Like you've got this whole mythos being created about it. You could write novels and set television shows in the worlds that have been imagined around this sort of thing, and yet there is a finite number. Eventually, this thing will run down. Will it run down before everyone has had a chance to click it? Is an interesting thing. Like, will people just not notice? Will there be enough Reddit people who just haven't been around the button? Will it become so famous that every single person will click it and there'll be a last clicker? And when it finally does run down, what do? There's a suspicion that like everybody gets Reddit gold, or everybody's flare changes to gold or something once you get to the end.
It's very interesting. I think that you can have something so innocuous and so seemingly unimportant take on such a social phenomenon.
Yeah, 721,653 participants so far have clicked.
There's a lot of Redditors to go. A lot.
Yeah, that's not even a fraction of the Redditors out there. Very interesting. Well, I spread the word, spread the faith of the button.
I can't click. I cannot click. I am forever outside.
I aspire to be at least an orange, or
it's
possibly
like being unbaptized. I can't be part of it ever.
I'll probably end up a gray because I'll probably miss it when it finally counts down. Our pick of the day comes from Nick in Louisiana, patron since day one. Thank you, Nick. Who says, after hearing the pick from DTNS 2452 concerning riff tracks, I wanted to expand on the selection of commentaries available online by telling you about Zarban.com. It's Zarban.com, a catalog of audio commentaries for movies and TV episodes available on the web. You download a commentary, listen to it while you watch the show, just like riff tracks, and enjoy the scholarly insights and/or hilarious insults they offer. They are mostly fan-made commentaries, but some are official tracks. For example, Aronofsky's The Fountain commentary that he originally hosted personally is now archived by Zarban.com. Other contributors can be hit and miss, but I would highly recommend What Are You Doing movie, formerly called Down in Front, Tysto, Tysto, and Filmgrok. They generally have a countdown after a short minute of introduction, and listeners can sync their copies with the recorded commentary audio. At the time of this correspondence, Tysto has a commentary for Reservoir Dogs that I'm very much looking forward to visiting. Listeners can also find entries such gems as Nightmare Sisters, if that's their bag. So again, Zarban.com, Zarban.com.
That's pretty cool. I've always wanted to kind of do something like that where it wouldn't actually have to be a movie, where it would be just a TV show or something.
It's like a meta podcast where you just kind of respond. You're listening to people responding to something, so you have to have that other piece of media out there. Send your picks to feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com, and you can find my picks at dailytechnewsshow.com/picks. All right, let's get to our message of the day. Natron wrote in and said, good day, Tom. I work for high-tech manufacturing companies like your guest, and single-source parts are actually more common than your guest suggested. He was giving the textbook answer. It's often normal with anything cutting edge to only have one vendor, and sometimes it's easier too, especially if you have a relationship with a vendor who performs better than others. Keep in mind that marketing's plan is forward-looking, and their dreams might not match what's possible on a new product. They should dream. The goal normally is to reach marketing's plans, not the other way around. Roger, I know we lost you there for a second, but did you catch that email? No?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, so now I caught him mid-cough.
I'm sorry. No, it caught me mid-sneeze.
So anyway, yeah, I really wanted to read this email more for the fact that it never ceases to impress me how in our audience we have somebody who actually knows a little bit more of a nuance about something. And Natron's not saying that Big Jim was wrong in any way. He's just saying, here's a little more insight into how that supply chain works and how, the marketing plan is kind of our goal. And even if we don't reach it, even if we have problems reaching it, it's not necessarily a bad thing.
No, I always find that having an audience member that can share that little nugget of information tremendously useful. And I would suggest to anyone else out there that can offer similar, points of view on any topic that's discussed on the show, please, feel free to share, because it makes the show that much more interesting, and it helps us at least understand the nuances, like you were saying, of the topics. Yeah,
it's always gratifying when we get an email from somebody and you can just tell they really know it. Like, it's not somebody who's supposing or pretending, but somebody who's like, oh yeah, you're in the thick of this. There's an indefinable feeling to that kind of person, and we get these a lot. So thank you guys. Really appreciate that. And thank you, Roger Chang, for filling in. DailyTechNewsShow.com, of course, is where Roger is in the pre- and post-show most days, helping us out, along with Jenny. And also, you can find him at East Meets West, brilliant.com/EMW, which is the longest-running podcast I do. Roger and I started it in October 2005, and if you want to know what it's about, just listen, because we don't know until we start recording.
But it's great. It's great. It's
Anything
awesome.
else? You follow you on Twitter, twitter.com/JollyRoger. Anything else going on?
Currently, I am busy with a 2.5-month-old child, or 2-month-old child, so that's like 80% of my waking hour at this point. Definitely. Please support the show, and I think all you guys are amazing, and it's great to see such an enthusiastic and engaging audience. Very rare to find that, actually.
Yeah, we're extremely lucky in that. And I want to thank all of them that support the show directly with like 5 cents a show or even 25 cents a show. Our patrons at patreon.com/acedetect, 4,924 people, steaming towards 5,000 people. And if you are on the fence out there, or if you're like, well, I'm giving 5 cents a show, but maybe I could give more. We have a little inducement. I try not to do too many of these because really, honestly, the value I want you to back is the show. If you're supporting the show, I'm hoping you're just giving the value back you think the show is worth. But I also like to take things from the show and make them available to the patrons in thanks. So we opened something called the Treasure Chest. I want to think of a better name for it, frankly, but that's all that's come to mind so far. And it's essentially a Dropbox folder where we are putting things like the full recording of the pre- and post-show in MP3 format, or some of these segments that Rich and Lovely Cleveland or Big Jim give us that are self-contained just as those MP3s, calls that people send us, maybe even some original bits, like when Jenny does her Android reports. We'll definitely be putting those in there, although I think she's only got one more Android report. report, but she'll be reporting on other things as well. So you never know. You just never know what's going to show up in the treasure chest. And if you are supporting the show at the $5 a month level, the quarterbacker, if you will, 25 cents a show level, you'll get monthly access to that folder. Thanks again, everybody. DailyTechNewsShow.com/support to find out more about how to support the show and to get that treasure chest if you're interested. Patreon.com/AceDetect. Our email address is feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. You can give us a call, 512-59-DAILY. That's 512-593-2459. And listen to the show live at alphageekradio.com Monday through Friday at 4:30 Eastern. Our website is dailytechnewsshow.com. We'll be back tomorrow with Patrick Beja. Talk to you then.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Boom.
Howdy do. Good show.
Good you.
Thank you. Yeah, I wanted to talk a little more about Zarband.com, and then the internet didn't agree.
Oh, internet.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I don't know what happened.
Not your fault. Just internet took a dump.
Like, I was like, uh-oh, something happened because your face froze. But the chat room was still going for me. So I thought, like, it's like...
So it's probably a Hangouts issue of some sort.
Damn you, Google.
I had that happen once where my chat room kept going because there was a power outage, and the power outage was like at the power brick that the Mac Mini was plugged into, but not anywhere else. And so Wi-Fi kept going, internet kept going, but it dumped everything, like my camera and everything.
I'm thinking, have you seen that show Lip Sync that just started, like, premiered yesterday? It's kind of a spin-off of the Jimmy Fallon thing.
Yeah, it's basically taking the Jimmy Fallon segment and making a whole show out of it. Eileen watched the pilot episode. She said it was pretty good.
It's awesome.
What if people did that for podcasts? They, like, lip-sync the podcast.
Oh, my gosh.
Not the whole thing, mind you, but, like...
You need a transcript.
Or they could just watch it a few times.
Tom's Mystery Box? I don't know. That doesn't sound right.
You want to see my mystery box?
Yeah. I like Felony Wallpaper, by the way.
Yeah. I do also like the Curious Case of Reddit's Button, but I want to add one more to Benjamin.
Yeah. It does need another syllable.
I want a third syllable.
Reddit's weird button.
No one presses or everyone presses the red button.
The Curious Case of the Reddit button?
The Reddit button. Yeah.
More fiber in Google's diet.
Trip off the tongue the way I want.
Dragon frozen due to weather violation. Push
the
the button.
Curious Case of Reddit's the button.
Reddit's man button. No.
Yeah, I know. You really want the man in there, but it doesn't.
That's pretty funny, Ixo facto.
Yeah.
What about the Curious Case of Don't Press the Button? I mean, it would be nice to get Reddit in there, but we're no SEO show.
I'm filling in the ID3 tags. Giving you a couple more minutes to decide.
Oh, Daily Tech News Stash. I love Twitter.
Daily Tech News Stash?
Yeah, some guy named Mike.
Oh, for the folder. Yeah. I was thinking S-T-A-C-H-E. I was like,
great? The Daily Tech News Stash.
I like that. The stash.
Man. It's awesome.
You can keep your bonus content and.
Yeah.
The Curious Case of Reddit's button. Curious Case of Felony Wallpaper. I don't know.
I know.
I really like Felony Wallpapers too.
Do it. Oh, the Curious Case of Redditor's Button. That's from Dark Redeemer.
Redditor's Button.
The Curious Case of Redditor's Button.
Of a Redditor's Button.
Of a Redditor's Button.
What's
Redditor's. Yeah, a Redditor's Button.
East meets
Red
DTNS.
buttons, swamp rat. Yeah. Now I'm thinking of red buttons too.
Button
Here's a case of
wars.
Redditor's button.
Buttons are toys.
Because then you want a "the" in there.
Felony wallpaper it is.
Yep. Wow, the Daily Tech News stash. That just woke me up.
Right.
Mike Bogle.
Today's guest is me. Doop doo. Let me do all the newts.
They are all good. That's always the problem, Tinvec. Too many goods. Too many goods.
Yeah, you did that. You got that back in.
Ooh, Anthony Carboni today.
I'm sorry.
Well, you know the whole, oh, I'm Anthony. Justin
Yeah.
Ryan started that. 4K in your face. More fiber in Google's diet. They're here in our microwaves. That's pretty good, too. What's this do?
We're $38.91 away from 15K.
Nice. I'm going to choose a
Just
file
saying.
to upload. That's what I'm going to do in celebration.
We are.
Oops. Bisquick.
Bisquick?
I'm trying to come up with other words besides profanities if something bad happens. So I
this
get
being
into
done?
the. So you know, want to
Yeah.
be careful about your language around a child.
Oh,
Hey, you too many
It's always
cricket.
funny to me to hear like some of my friends curse around like their kids because they're like, oh, well, they don't understand what I'm saying yet, and then hear those parents later like, oh, she's finally understanding what we're saying. We have to be careful now.
Oh, kids pick up things very quickly.
Yeah, and it's not like they tell you like, oh, I'm understanding you now. So
They don't need to understand. That's the danger. They'll just try to repeat it. And it's even worse if it's not within any socially defined context. Your kid's saying, I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking it. Fitness watch.
Who watches the fitness watch? I'm gonna challenge myself to think of a Watchmen related title every day.
okay,
Watchmen related.
it'll always be who X's the Xers.
Yeah, who X's the Xers? We
You can
did
do
not
it without
talk about the
using
Game
that.
of Thrones leak Christmas because it feels Cord Killer-esque.
Yeah, it's Cord Killer S. It's also like, oh, okay, so that happened. Like,
Right.
I don't know.
Well, you know why it's the 4 episodes, right?
But no, was that the screener?
Yeah, those are the ones they gave out to people who
Yeah.
cut things ahead of time and review. So it's just like the standard 4.
Gotcha.
So it's like, yeah, somebody leaked it. Yay.
Could have
That's
done a
not
better
even a
job
tech story.
watermarking it, I guess. But
Yeah. Like it's like more of a. It's not a tech story, I guess.
yeah, I mean, something being leaked onto BitTorrent is no longer. It used to be a tech story. There were at one point when it was unusual, but it's. I mean, I get that it's significant, but it's not unusual.
Right.
In and of itself, it's only significant because of the content of Game of Thrones, which you're right makes it a Cord Killers or a Current Geek story, or even a Sword and Laser story.
Sword
But
and
it's because of the
laser.
content, not the technology.
So
Right? It's kind of where I'm
yeah.
at.
So you'll appreciate this. I'm now going back and replacing missing knowledge in my life, like the stuff that I was just like, not paying attention in college and some such. So, because I was like
are you
that. If
laughing
I
at?
wasn't interested, forget it. The science of sound.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I'm going for it.
Now you'll understand why Veronica's forum name was Early Sound.
I mean, it's way too much math for me. So I keep I'm like, oh, that's a very nice equation, and moving past it, because I just want like the contextual understanding of things. But it's sort of like going back to the things you run away from and being like, okay, now I'm really gonna learn it. All right.
Yeah, sound was
really?
very audio production in school was very interesting.
I did something dumb.
Welcome to the club.
Yeah,
Ain't the first time.
Apparently.
Oh no, Tom, you're on blemished record. Your fourth outfit.
Believe me, is far from unblemished. And then Jenny wants me to just go public and embarrass myself.
But isn't that what wives are for?
Huh?
Isn't that what wives are for?
Hey, I'm a wife. Come on.
What did you just say, Roger?
Roger just said something terrible and awful, and
what?
He's tired, so we're gonna give him a pass.
Hey, I'm sorry. Did I say something inappropriate?
Well,
You took something out of your 1930s vaudeville routine.
Yeah, wives, yeah.
Take my wife, please.
Take my wife, please. My wife tells me, as a.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I published the blog post without the MP3 link is what I just did. So I fixed it. Should not have caused any issues because there was no MP3 link. Yeah. So it's not like any podcatcher would have caught anything. But hopefully that will not cause any unforeseen issues, and we're good. So I'm looking forward to being a guest on Tell It Anyway.
I know. We finally got you booked, and we put you an
ace. You put me in the possibly for me most embarrassing topic you could.
I felt bad about that. But
I have a story. I immediately had a story though, and it's really embarrassing. And I've maybe told it publicly once in a very short version.
Yeah.
But this is what your show's about. Yeah. I am going to expunge my guilt.
Yay!
At this mistake that I made as a 23-year-old college student. Not even that. 20-year-old college student. Anyway.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
And it's funny because Matt came up with this story idea. Of course it was Matt, because I would never come up with anything so asking people to expose themselves. Mine are always like childhood, happiness, and Matt's are like shame.
Which was your favorite unicorn when you're?
Yeah, we have very different story topic ideas, and so I was like, "Oh, you're really gonna make Tom do this because he's gonna really do it." And then, so he was like, "Yes."
Tell him thanks a lot, Flanagan.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Flanagan.
Schadenfreude.
So we put you with Katie Flanagan, who literally is the ace storyteller. We put ace detect with ace storyteller, and it's gonna be awesome. I'm super excited about it.
Yay!
And you want to know one other thing before you get out of the post?
Yeah, sure. I'm actually
one other thing. Mm-hmm. I know you're already out of the post. So on Friday, we're doing a beta pilot test out of a listening party for Tell It Anyway.
Ooh,
cool.
Because I don't like to do the live storytelling because I really do enjoy editing, but we're gonna put it on Alpha Geek Radio and do a little live pre-show, like Eileen and Molly used to do for Always On, and then like a post-show talking about it. And I expect 5 people to show up, but those 5 people really like the show. And so I'm gonna put a thing out about it as soon as I recover from being just completely brain dead for not being able to sleep. But I'm excited about that. Like that might be a fun way to do live without doing live.
Wait, so is it gonna be like through Google Hangouts, or is it gonna be?
No, so I'm gonna do it really simply because this is an audio only podcast. The show I do, and so I'm gonna keep it audio only, which is essentially. We're going to back time the automatic release of the show, and we're going to do 5 minutes beforehand and then let the show go, and then just pop in afterwards on the same channel of Alpha Geek Radio and talk about it for a little bit, and then people during the show can wander about the various chat rooms and talk about it with us. So
Oh, that's nice.
we're just going to try it. We're going to use the patented Tom Merritt method of trying it and see what happens.
Yeah, throw it against the wall.
Yeah, let's just see what happens.
Yeah.
And Todd's helping me out a lot with it, which is really cool.
Cool. Well, we're
Thanks.
going to direct you all to go, if you're watching live, watch Viking Glass on Channel 2
Yes.
at diamondclub.tv. Meanwhile, we'll see you tomorrow.